this idea of becoming more you, living in alignment, and how that impacts our health, our mental health, emotional health, our soul, our physical health, everything, our biomarkers, cellular health. Like my conversations are actually moving to that space as well. So many people are talking about like peptides and NAD supplements and red light therapy, which is wonderful. But at the same time, if you're living out of alignment, those things don't matter because internally you're not happy, which is aging you and accelerating aging and creating oxidative stress within the body, disrupting your microbiome, depleting your body of nutrients, all of the things. We have to have this like recalibration, this realignment before any of that. Well, welcome to Biohacking with Brittany, the podcast where science meets wisdom. I'm Brittany Ford, holistic nutritionist, biohacker, and mom. And for years, I struggled with gut issues, hormonal imbalances, and the exhaustion of motherhood while running a business. Biohacking and functional medicine became my way back to clarity, vitality, and trust in my body. And that's why I'm here, not just to share information, but to share the practices and perspectives that truly shifted my health and my life. Each week, I bring you science-backed tools, honest conversations, and rituals I live myself so you can return to your own body's wisdom and create longevity on your own terms. Because your body already knows this is just the space to remember. Welcome back to the podcast. Today is a solo episode, which I have not done in a long time. I actually think it's been a few months. I am so excited to be here talking with you. And if you're watching online on Spotify or on YouTube, you can see my background. These palm trees are outside of my house here in Nicaragua. So today, we're diving into life updates, business updates, travel updates. I get a lot of questions about all the things that I'm doing, and there's just kind of a lot of different things that I need to get into. So I wanted to save it for a solo episode because I just feel like there's so much to kind of unpack. So stay with me, bear with me as I kind of give you all the updates that you've been asking for. And as always, I appreciate you listening. You are welcome to leave a review, subscribe, send me a message, ask me your questions, join our community, all those things. So I think I'm going to start with the business stuff first because I feel like this is a little shorter. It's a little easier before we kind of get into some of the bigger things that are happening. So first and foremost, like my business is shifting. I'm currently moving in towards the women's longevity space. And you would have seen this kind of dripping slowly in my content. I am rebranding this spring to a brand new podcast name, which you'll see. New colors, new logo, all of that. Of course, all the aesthetic part of it, new website. And this kind of came from a place of feeling like biohacking has kind of served its purpose for me and I'm ready to move forward. And when I launch this officially, probably in March, I will do a full episode more on like the branding and names and the things like that. But I just felt in 2025 this like need to shift beyond biohacking. And I sat with it for a long time of like, what would I call my show? What would I call all of the things that I do? Because I'm biohacking Brittany, there's the alliteration and all these things. And so I have figured out what I'm going to call it and just needed this upgrade across the board. And we're kind of seeing this actually in the health and wellness space in general. When we look at trends, we can see this. Like people are less interested in biohacking and more interested in longevity. And so there's part of that shift as well. And the way that I see it is like longevity is the how and biohacking is the how and longevity is the why. So biohacking is one way that we can become healthier and expand our health span and live longer and be healthier and happier every single day. But the why is like the longevity, is that long, healthy life that we are all after. And I think that is deeper and much more important. And I think as well, like the word biohacking is just like very masculine. And it's something that I have struggled with like for a few years of like, this is a very male dominated space, which is great to be a female in a male dominated space because it gives me an edge. It gives me a different perspective. But at the same time, like the language doesn't necessarily speak to the woman that I want to speak to. So we needed to do an upgrade across the board, across everything. It's time. Now I'm a mom and like the way I view things is different and my values are different and all of the things like that. So get ready for a brand new podcast. I've never changed the title of my podcast. It's always been Biohacking with Brittany since 2019. I think it was 2019. What? Oh my God, has it been that long? Probably. But now we are shifting. And that's okay. You got to let go of things that no longer serves you. So I am moving into the women's longevity space and the intuitive longevity space. And I'm going to talk more and more about that all year this year, of this idea of becoming more you, living in alignment, and how that impacts our health, our mental health, emotional health, our soul, our physical health, our everything, our biomarkers, cellular health. And I feel like my conversations are actually moving to that space as well, which not a lot of people, / anyone is talking about. So many people are talking about like peptides and NAD supplements and red light therapy, which is wonderful. But at the same time, if you're living out of alignment, it doesn't matter. Those things don't matter because internally you're not happy, which is aging you and accelerating aging and creating oxidative stress within the body, disrupting your microbiome, depleting your body of nutrients, all of the things. So we have to have this like recalibration, this realignment before any of that. And my goal with this shift is to bring in all of the cool tools and tech and everything we love about biohacking and longevity, apply it to women and bring in the intuitive part as well. And that's what I've been doing. So my podcast has already shifted to that type of content. You would have seen it already happening in the last few months. And I have launched my private community. This is called the LongHer Life Community. And this is a space where I really bring like premium content. So I hop on calls biweekly with this group of women. Like we're doing deep dives into protocols and whatever you want to talk about in terms of women's health and longevity and intuition. We're also doing Q&As where you can ask me your specific questions and I can give you answers that are applicable to your life and your circumstances. I have my private podcast in there where all the guests that I bring on this current show, we hop into my private community and I ask them your questions. So people you don't have access to, I get to ask them the questions that you can pre-submit. I have protocols in there, things that, again, I'm not posting anywhere else. I'm not posting them on my podcast. You might see a snippet or a teaser on Instagram or TikTok, but like the juice and the good stuff is in my community. And it's only $97 a month. Like literally so cheap. I spend more on coffee definitely spend more on coffee per month than that. So I wanted to make it so affordable, so cheap, and you can join us right now. There's about 40 women in there. Actually, might be more. There's about 40 women in there, and you get access to me every other week. You get access to everything I just talked about, all my protocols, my baby steps, fertility optimization courses in there, and the protocol. And you get access to my free masterclasses that I'm doing, which will fluctuate and change throughout this year. So I just did one and that was on feminine longevity. That's in there. And like you literally get access to everything. And you get to meet other people. People are commenting, answering my questions. Like it's a living thing. So I encourage you, if like this is January still, going into February, you have that new year, new you, healthier you energy. This is your community of women. This community is for women's longevity. Like and intuitive longevity. I can't even stress you enough. Like nothing else exists like this on the internet. And I am in other longevity communities, just so you know. Like I'm in Gary Brecka's. Do you think he's talking about this? No, he's not. Do you think he's talking about like purpose and living in alignment and nervous system regulation? Maybe a little bit of nervous system regulation, but definitely not with deep soul work. And definitely not women's aspects to everything, right? Like it's so geared to men. Women, there's just so much I want to say about this. Like women, we only started researching on women's health in 1993, which was actually the year that I was born. And this is wild, like, right? So like when we're looking at how women age and disease and chronic illness, like men have so much more data and research on them that we can't even really keep up. Like it's not even a fair playing field. Even today, even though women are being researched on today, like historically men have so much more research on them. And so my point being is like we need these places where we can come together in community and talk about this, talk about solutions and talk about what we're dealing with. So some of the protocols that I'm developing, my goal is to publish a protocol in my community every week. The one that I want to do this week, I think I'm going to do an morning and evening routine protocols, all about what I would recommend and when we have that lens of intuition and longevity for women. And also what happens if you have kids, because I'm not about to sit here and give you a 3-hour morning routine if you're a mom, because that is not realistic. What can you do that has the maximum impact and effort on your longevity if you have 10 minutes in the morning, right? Let's talk the same language here. Let's actually have the same circumstances and create solutions that are effective for us. So that's what's coming. Next week, I want to do a protocol on hormone replacement therapy, because that's what I'm studying right now. And then I'm definitely going to do a peptides one. I think I'm going to wait to do peptides in the summer when I'm back in Canada and have access to peptides, so that I can give a much more robust, accurate, personal view of peptides and what I'm doing, how it's impacting me, and what I recommend. So these protocols are coming. And when I say protocols, what it actually looks like in the community, just so you know, is I write it all out. I give you all my recommendations. If there's links and discount codes, you get that. Then I make it into a PDF so you can download it, keep it on your phone, keep it on your computer, print it, or have it in any way that you want. And then I typically also do a video live recording of my thoughts and extra information about it. So when I do biweekly calls, every other call is a deep dive, and typically I will do a review of one of the protocols that I've just published. So I can't express to you enough how much content there is in this community and what it's going to be a year from now. My God. Because if you think about it, I'm doing biweekly calls. If I'm doing monthly masterclasses, I don't know about that. We'll see. Weekly protocols. Every guest who comes on my podcast is hopping into my private community to answer your questions. I typically record right now with traveling. I'm doing about 2 episodes a week. It's buzzing. It's buzzing in there. And it's only $97 a month. Wild. Join if you care about women's health and longevity and biohacking. You need to be in there. I can't even stress it enough. You're going to learn a lot. And yeah, I'm so excited about it. So I will link that in the show notes, and it's on my website for you to join right now. So that's the shift that is coming and is making. And when I talk about studying in school, just FYI, because I have had some people ask about this, I am a longevity medicine fellow with A4M. A4M is the Anti-Aging American Association, something like that. Wow, I'm not even getting it right. American Association of Anti-Aging Medicine. I think they're actually renaming themselves. Anyway, so they have a fellowship in longevity medicine, and that's what I'm doing. When I'm done this, I will be board certified in longevity medicine, which would be incredible. And I'm hoping to have that done by the spring. Meditation practice, working with women in longevity, which is crazy. Never thought I would say that, but that's what we're doing, and we're going with it. So many good things to come. And that is the business update. I post a lot of my stories, and I'm vlogging, posting very different content on TikTok if you're interested. And the podcast goes to Spotify, YouTube, and Apple, as always. So that's an update. I would love to have you join me. And of course, my retreat is happening in March in Costa Rica, and I will be doing another retreat, which I have not announced. But if you're listening to this episode, I'm happy to talk about it. It's not for sure because I haven't booked anything. I'm thinking about doing another retreat. It's going to be very different than the one in March. That's for sure. So stay tuned. Very different. I actually did mention it on my masterclass. So the people who are in the masterclass actually know what I'm doing. But anyway. Okay. And now let's get into the juice. The good stuff. Life update. Wow. I am in beautiful Nicaragua. I was in Panama for December and Nicaragua for January. We head to Costa Rica for February into March for my retreat, and then we go to Mexico. We are traveling to 4 different countries. We are looking for the healthiest place to raise a family and leaving Canada. There's a lot to say here, and I'm going to start with why we are interested in leaving Canada, and then I'll review the countries of where we've been so far. I'm not going to talk about the US because I'm not from the US. I've never lived there. I know what's going on, but it's not my place necessarily to speak on their behalf. I would love to invite you to be a part of my new private online women's health and longevity community called the LongHer Life Community. This is a space where I do biweekly calls with everyone live on Zoom. So these Q&As are where you can pre-submit questions or even come up live on the call and ask all of your health questions. I also do private podcasts where all of the guests who come on this very show hop into my private community and answer your pre-submitted questions. And I do protocols. Right now, I'm releasing one protocol a week, and these range from my latest women's longevity workout protocol to peptides, morning routine, hormone replacement therapy, everything like that. These are deep in research. What is the latest thing that everyone is saying, what you need to know, and has the PDF so you can download it, keep it on your computer, phone, or even print it. This community has so much content, but honestly, the best part is that there's so many women in there. It's a live, vibrant community where women are answering questions daily, talking to each other, and participating. And we all get to meet every other week. I really invite you to join. It's only $97 a month. This is so cheap. It is so affordable. I literally spend more on skincare probably in a week. And I wanted to create a place where we can all come together, talk about women's longevity and intuition. There is no other place like this on the internet. I am very serious. There's no other place where you can talk about living in alignment with yourself and your values, big life decisions around relationships and work and where you want to move and live, and also find protocols that are about your health, that are tailored to you as a woman. Not men, but you as a woman. There are moms, there are grandmas, there are women in there without kids. This is a space and a community for women built by women. And I invite you to join us. Again, $97 a month. If you pay for the year, it's actually $970. So you get 2 months for free, which is so affordable. So I really want to extend my invite to you. Join us. There's so much content daily, weekly. Soon we're going to be doing challenges. We're going to be doing all sorts of things, themes. And I also announce special things in there before anywhere else. So like my VIP one-on-one consulting and my retreats and immersions and things like that. I would love to have you to join us. It is linked on my website. It's in my bio and it is in the show notes of every single episode. Just go click and join us and I will see your beautiful face on our next community call. Canada so when I immigrated to Canada from South Africa when I was a kid, my parents bought a house, like a house, like a full-on house. What you literally are picturing in your head is like what we bought, right? Like I think there were 5 bedrooms. It was beautiful. It was a corner lot. I used to walk to elementary school. It was in a very affluent neighborhood, and a lot of people looked like me. And it was, I don't know how else to say it. Like the country was more conservative at the time, and it was a very safe neighborhood, and it was a very privileged upbringing. South Africa was different. When I lived in South Africa, I went to private school, and the education was actually very good at the private school. It was better than the public school in Canada. And the kind of same thing, like we had a really nice house, that type of thing. And then we immigrated. All kind of changed when my parents got divorced when I was around 16. Financially, things kind of took quite a dive, and a story for another time. But like that's kind of why I have so much drive and ambition today, is seeing that downfall. Anyway, so, fast forward to Canada now, like now that I have a kid who's 18 months old, Callahan, and my husband grew up in the same neighborhood in Oakville in Canada, which is where we met. We don't necessarily see a long-term future in Canada that we thought we once did. And this is a reflection of multiple things. So first of all, Canada is very expensive to live in. It's very expensive to buy property. It's very expensive to buy a house. And we could not afford to actually buy a house in the neighborhood that we grew up in. What my parents bought a house for versus what it's worth right now is nowhere near the change in wage, right? Like, so how much you make every year, your wage every year is not in parallel to the increase in prices of houses in Canada. So it's not like it's apples to apples here. It's completely different. We have a house in Canada that we bought in a small town in Muskoka, which is also somewhat expensive, but like we're talking 20,000 people, and we could afford a somewhat modern house, 7 years old, nice, has a backs onto the ravine, the forest, and it was still expensive. And to be so transparent with you guys, my husband's parents, who are very well off, still helped us buy that house, even though my husband has a great job and makes a great salary. And my business last year did the best it's ever done. Like we're both doing really well. And we still actually needed support buying the type of house that we wanted, a big enough house in a small community. So the housing and the costs and the price of everything kills us. Like it kills us. It's so expensive. It's ridiculous. It's so expensive for what you got. You spend $1 million and you have neighbors that you can throw a ball and you hit their house, right? Like it's not like you have property or land, even in a community of 20,000 people. And it's not like you have you're on a lake at that price point, right? Like if you want a certain amount of bedrooms and we both work from home and we have a kid and we have a dog and so we need space. And when we moved from Vancouver, we had an apartment in Vancouver as well. And it was, I think we sold it for 1.1 million Canadian. No, just under 1.1 maybe. And was it? Or was it 1 million? It was around there anyway. And then we took that and we bought our house for this basically the same price-ish. And it just goes to show you how expensive Vancouver is. Oh my God. But also just Canada in general is so expensive for housing. And then we look at all the other expenses, right? Like having a nanny or daycare is crazy. Like a nanny in Canada, and I think it's the same with US, would be between 50 to 70 grand per year, maybe even more for a full-time nanny. And are they living with you? Are you paying for them to live with you? Are you paying them for food? And also even that expense in itself is when you're in a small town, you don't really have access to people like that. So if you hire an au pair from around the world, you're paying even more, right? Because they're coming from a different country. Daycares are expensive. I know people who pay $2,000 in daycare a month, Canadian, or $3,000 a month for daycare. And that's daycare. That's not even school. That's not education. That's not it's not like it's a grade 1, right? Like curriculum. That's daycare, where they're in a room with how many other children? 5 children, 10 children, 15 children. And then they are supervised and they are some are licensed, some aren't licensed. What are they doing all day? Who's there? What adults are around them? How much do you get to be involved as a parent? We do not want to put our kid into daycare. So yeah, the cost of food is expensive, gas, cars, clothing, everything, everything. So the price point and the financial point is really something that we talk a lot about. Not from a scarcity perspective of oh my God, we need to pinch pennies. I'm not going to buy organic food because it's too expensive. No. Health is my number one value. I will spend money on health because I want to live a long, healthy life. And I will work extra hard, or I will figure out how to make more income so I can afford that healthy lifestyle. But it gets to a point when you're in a place like Canada and parts of the US and different, obviously, countries in Europe, these other expensive places, and Australia. I know Australia is really expensive as well. Is where's the breaking point where you're working so hard to afford to live in a place where that's causing too much stress in your body and actually negating any healthy benefits of living in that place or the healthy things that you're buying? That's what we're toying with right now, is that question. And then we can talk about tax. So income tax is terrible, and personal income tax in Canada is a lot. So Canada works on a worldwide tax system. Same with the US, or a global tax system. What that means is that your income is taxed regardless of where you got that income from. If you are living in Canada and I have a client, or I make affiliate money, or someone signs up for my course and they live in Australia or Kenya or anywhere else, it doesn't matter. I'm taxed on all of that, every single piece on my personal income tax. And I also pay corporate tax. Same with the States. The States works the same way. On the flip side, if you look at countries like Costa Rica, Panama, Nicaragua, Grand Cayman Islands, Where else? Puerto Rico, maybe? No, Puerto Rico is the US. Where else? There's a bunch of other places. They're like tax havens, right? So if we were to be in Nicaragua, I'm only taxed on territorial tax, meaning income that has been made from Nicaragua itself. So if I have a retreat in Nicaragua or I have a client in Nicaragua who pays me, I have to pay tax on that income. But if I have somebody in Canada or the US who pays me, I don't pay any tax, which is crazy. And if you actually put this, and like, I really suggest if you're thinking about doing a move like we're doing, put it into numbers, and it is sobering. So we put ours, like we've done like rough math. Personal income tax, if we were to remove our Canadian residency, we would save around $120,000 a year of personal income tax. So that's not with like a job promotion. That's not with the business doing any better. That's with like things as they are. You would have 120 grand more in your bank account. And there is no corporate tax either. So same with Panama, same with Nicaragua. There's no corporate tax. So not only am I not paying income tax, I'm also not paying corporate tax. So I get to keep my money. My husband gets to keep all of his money, or our money, whatever, our money that like we work hard for. So when we're looking at these different places and when we're moving, like that's such a big factor, right? Because why would we want to work harder, push ourselves more, work longer days when we can just do what we're doing right now and just keep it all and afford way more? And the reality is like, and this is what I'm like internally coming to terms with. Like if we were to make this type of massive move, it would put us so far ahead. Like if we did it for 5 to 10 years, it would put us so far ahead. Think about how much more money we would take home over that period of time. And our cost of living would be lower. Wild. Like talk about retirement, talk about longevity, talk about having more money when you retire one day. Is like, these are the decisions right now that actually matter. So the finances aspect is huge. And when you have a kid, you have to think about these things, right? Like do we stay in Canada long term, pay so much for the cost of living, pay so much in tax, and then not be super happy with the educational levels, not be happy with the political landscape, not happy with the weather, right? Like this is the question of like, where can you live that's actually in alignment with your values and your biology? So if we move a little bit from finances and we move more into other things about Canada, I'm not super stoked on the current educational system. And this might offend some people, and that's okay. Canada has become very liberal. There are some things I do love about the Liberal Party and things like that. Once I had a kid, this kind of changed. There's some things that I don't think should be in the childhood curriculum along the lines of very much has to do with health and sexual education. Things like, just teaching kids about, I really don't want to get into specifics, but teaching kids from a very young age about like sexual orientation, transgender, sexual preferences, sex in general, and how that works and who you can have sex with and why and when and whatever. Health education in your body. Like those are things that I've kind of like drawn the line on. And I have a very like strong opinion on. And I just don't personally think that it should be taught to 7-year-olds. I think children are too young. I think kids are sexualized at a very young age now. And it's a problem. That's why I don't show my kid on the internet. Like no one has seen his face. Maybe a little bit of a side view here and there. I don't care. I'm not showing his face. Like I'm not going to let AI and these creepy people online take photos of him and do terrible things. People, like, in case you've been living under a rock and like, that's okay. We all have our moment of like waking up. People take photos of kids online, put them into AI and make like child porn that looks like your child just from a single photo. And I'm telling you this because I've had people actually tell that to me and report that to me. And I hate that. And I think that's horrific. But that is actually the world that we're living in. And also sex trafficking and child trafficking is on the rise in Canada and in the States. It's actually much more common than people think. So, which is like different, problems and issues related to not related to necessarily the curriculum that we're seeing in schools. However, I don't want my son sitting in a classroom at 7 years old, questioning his gender, questioning his sexual orientation, talking about pride. I don't think it's appropriate for children. I don't think children should be exposed to sexual activities, sexual orientation, relationships, any of that at that young age. This episode is brought to you by Optimize Her, my women's biohacking retreat in Costa Rica, happening March 2nd to 7th, 2026. I am so excited, guys. This isn't just another yoga retreat. It's a 5-night, 6-day, science-backed health optimization woven into feminine restoration, designed specifically for women's bodies. We'll dive into functional medicine and longevity tools, experience healing sessions like sound baths and cacao ceremonies, and recalibrate with daily movement, spa rituals, and farm-to-table meals that support hormones, gut health, and vitality. It's not about fixing. It's about clearing the noise so you can actually tune into your body again. If you're ready for deep restoration and transformation, you can explore all the details in the show notes, and I would absolutely love to see you in Costa Rica. And I'm not somebody who is against any of that. I just don't think it's appropriate for kids. And in the Canadian curriculum, it's taught very early now. And that was not the case when I was in school in Canada, right? So like every elementary school has a Pride Day and you can opt out as a parent. But I just don't, it's kind of beyond the scope of this podcast, but it just doesn't sit well with me. And you might think, oh, Brittany, how do you know? Your kid's only 18 months. I have friends who have older kids. For example, my friend Vanessa had her kid in public school in Quebec, in Canada, and he was 9 and he was in a health sex ed class, whatever they call it, health education. And the teacher taught him, I don't even know if I'm allowed to say this on this podcast. This might get blurred out, beeped out. The teacher taught him and the class how to have anal sex before straight sex, before man and women, like explained man on man before. And her son came home and they were at the dinner table and she was like, hey, like, what'd you learn at school today? He's like, I learned like how man and man can do this. And she's like, pardon me, what? And she went and spoke to the school about it. And the school said, oh, yeah, you're right. Like, teacher probably shouldn't have said that, explained that first. Like, that's just the type of thing that, like, we're seeing more and more of that now. We're seeing less teacher-led learning, more like students get their way with everything. That's just like one of the multiple things that I think is like not great with the Canadian school curriculum. I think there's a time and place for that type of discussion. I think it's, older, like 13, right? Like when kids are more interested in that type of thing, when kids can understand their bodies more. Yeah. So that's like just one aspect of what's going on. I also don't like how much technology is in school, how much kids are relying on it, using iPads from what grade? So you're just not going to learn how to do multiplication and you're just going to let tech do it for you. It doesn't matter if that's how we work today in society. Like, I still think it's important to go through the skills and learn. And where are the life skills? Where is actually learning about doing your taxes, learning how to budget, learning how to run a business, learning how to like be healthy, take care of your body, exercise, like all these things that we actually need to learn about in life. So the Canadian education system is not what I would like. And so then, I mean, even in the small community that we're in Muskoka, right? Like there is the private school, there's the Montessori, which we're on the wait list for, which we could go to. And I think what was the price point of it? Like, what was it? The $8,000 Canadian? I think it was $8,000 for pre-K, something like that. And I think those are full days. I don't remember, but something like that. And that would be our best bet in a place like that. I am not in a place to homeschool. I have greater ambitions. It's not my wheelhouse. I don't want to do that. It's too much. No, but there are better options worldwide. So if you look at the finances, if you look at taxes, if you look at schooling, those are major factors. And then, of course, with Canada, we talk about lifestyle, right? So Canada in the summer is amazing, like the US, most of the US, right? Like it's amazing. It's hot, it's beautiful. The nights are so long. It's bright until 9, 10 p.m. Muskoka is incredible in the summer. It gets like 2 million visitors every year. We're talking like lake life, right? Boating, kayaking, water skiing, water sports, that. The loons, the quiet, the mist on the lake in the morning. Oh my God, it's the best. It's it's surreal. It's like, it's stunning. It's literally stunning. That's why so many celebrities have cottages in Muskoka. I think they call it the Hamptons of Canada. Anyway, right? So if we look at that life, like it's beautiful. And then the winter is terrible, right? Like it's dark by 5 p.m. There's so much snow, like so many feet of snow. Like last winter, our snowbanks on the side of our driveway were taller than me. And I'm 5'9". They were taller than me. Like so much snow, so cold, minus 15 degrees Celsius for all my US listeners. And so the lifestyle in the winter is not something we are keen on, which is why we left this winter. So the lifestyle in the winter is everyone is kind of miserable. Everybody complains about the weather. You either ski or you get out snowshoeing, and it's dark by 5 anyway. And then you kind of wait for the spring. The spring is a little muggy. It's a little wet. There's lots of mosquitoes, but at least it's better than the winter. But the lifestyle is just not for us. And that's the lifestyle in most places in Canada, by the way, except for if you go to the West Coast, like Vancouver, where we lived for 8 years, has so much rain. It is very gray. It's like a little doom and gloom vibe. At least in Muskoka, it's sunny and snowy, but yeah, it's just not, it's not for us. And I just don't think it doesn't feel like it's in alignment with nervous system regulation, menstrual cycle regulation, women's health, longevity. Because if I'm online shopping to get my dopamine hit because I'm like inside and it's cold, dark, and snowing outside, and I'm doing that day in and day out, like that's not the life that I want to lead. How can I ground myself in nature and put my bare feet on the earth when there's like 6 feet of snow? Like actually though, yeah. So, when you look at those factors, right? It's like lifestyle, finances, taxes, schooling system. Where can I raise Callahan so that he can be the healthiest version of himself, mentally, physically, in his soul? That's the big question. That's the big question. So that's kind of like my gist of Canada right now. Obviously, we have family there. I have 2 brothers, both my parents in Canada. My husband has his parents in Canada and his brother's on the West Coast. We have friends on the East Coast and the West Coast. And yeah, so that is a difficult component. Now, where we're looking is Central America mostly and Mexico, which is all part of the North American continent. We spent December in Panama. My husband's parents, I guess I can say Ryan. I still call him my husband on the show. Ryan's parents rented a place in Panama for a month, and we were there. And in this place called Rio Hato, which is a tiny little beach town. It was beautiful. It was right on the beach. It was stunning. Panama is not for us, and I'll tell you why. Panama is very busy. The Panama City and the greater Panama City is over 2 million people live there. It's the same size as Vancouver. That's a ton of people. So there's a ton of traffic, right? Like crazy amount of traffic in and out of the city. Lots of high buildings, skyscrapers, all types of things like that. Panama has the Panama Canal that goes through it. So there's tons of money in Panama, like in and out. The ships, we went to the canal, is very cool to see. If you want to go to Panama, definitely check it out. And they're huge. Like the shipping container ships you can't even explain how big they are. It's insane. They're massive. And they go in and out of the canal. Very cool to see. Very busy, but very cool to see. It's too busy for us. And the cost of living is too high. So Costa Rica is still more expensive than Panama by a little. But if you're for a house, for food, for gas, for a car, you might as well pay a little bit more and be in Costa Rica. Costa Rica has way more lush jungle, nature, animals. We only went there basically because his parents were there. And then that kind of kicked off our journey into Central America. Now we are in Nicaragua. We have 1 week left, and then we go to Costa Rica and then Mexico. So I'll, of course, do an update in Costa Rica and Mexico. Nicaragua, what can I say? What can I say? Nicaragua is so beautiful, so grounding, so raw. Out of every country we're going to, Nicaragua is the least developed. It is the most developing country, right? So you don't say third world country anymore. That's like not politically correct. You say developing versus developed. Nicaragua is the most developing country. It is raw. And what I mean by raw is like you're driving your car down the street, and on that street could be a horse and buggy, a bull pulling a cart. There could be street cats, street dogs, people walking, people on motorcycles with kids without helmets. No one has a helmet on. People on regular bicycles, people on scooters, and then like there could be a really nice Jeep all at the same time. That's what I mean by raw, which is beautiful in its own way, right? So the Nicaragua has this sense of what people typically say is like it was Costa Rica 20 years ago, 30 years ago. It is very cheap. It's very affordable. Like if we took what we spent on our house in Canada and applied it to here, like we went to go tour this one house, and if you want to see it, I can send you the link. I don't care. Doesn't matter. We went to go see this one house. It's listed for $795 USD, 9 acres, luxury, nicer than our house in Canada. Designer house. Like when I say designer, I mean like, oh my God, designer. Like the doorways, the floors, everything is like, there was like an actual artist who came in who was like, let's make this your vision come true. It's beautiful in San Juan del Sur, ocean view. It's a 3-bedroom, 3-bath. Is that right? 3-bedroom, 3-bath with an extra like den. And then, yeah, every bedroom has its own ensuite bathroom. Ocean view, pool. There's a nanny house, like a nanny suite. There's a caretaker's suite. There is a organic garden, goats, chickens, mango trees, coconut trees, avocado trees, banana trees. 10-minute drive to our favorite beach. 10-minute drive to the school we want to put Callahan in. Yeah. And furnished, ocean view or water view, whatever. Make it applicable to Muskoka. My God. I wonder how much that would be. Like 9 acres, maybe 3 million Canadian. I should ask my husband. He'll probably have a good idea. Crazy. The other thing with like buying property in Nicaragua is there are no, forget the name of it. I think there's no HOA, but there's a specific name where there's no rules on what you do with the land. So you can have it as residential land, or you could also have it as like commercial. So if I was like, I'm going to build a longevity clinic, I can do that on my land. And I don't need any permission. I don't pay any taxes. I don't need anything from anyone. I can do it. If I have the funds, I can do it. I could also build a whole nother home. Like imagine if I built a grandparents' suite or whatever it might be. Like there's no rules on regulations on like what you can do with the land, where and how and whatever. None of that. That's why so many of the houses here, especially the people who are from Nicaragua, they will have a storefront in the front of their house and then their house is at the back, and they'll sell all sorts of things. Fruit, toys, tires, whatever it might be, right? So people are making income from their storefront right on their own property, which is amazing. It makes sense. Canada, you can't do that. Canada, you need a license. It has to be commercial property. It has to be in the right zone. Oh my God. It's like, no. I remember in high school, I had my best friend in high school. Her mom was a personal trainer. She was so fit. And we were in Oakville, and she had a business that she ran out of her basement where she was personal training. She did a lot of moms, like worked with all of the parents at the schools. And she had to keep it so hush-hush because otherwise she would get in trouble for running her business out of that house and have to pay more tax and need a license and whatever. And then neighbors would tell on her, and it was this whole thing. And like, that's the sense of that type of community there, right? Versus Nicaragua, where it's like, yeah, make best bang for your buck. Open your business. Great. So Nicaragua in this way is like raw and grounding, and the nature here is so beautiful. We're in the windy season right now, which if you're watching online, you can definitely see the trees moving a lot. We are on a mountain right now. So we get so much wind up here. Like today, the wind was 35 kilometers per hour, which is more of a windier day today than normal. And I think that some of the beaches here are just incredible. Like I'm learning to surf right now. And you can go from like really difficult surfing beaches, like where the experts and the pros go, to like beginner friendly, to like medium. And like the tide can go low and high in different places, which makes it better for kids in certain spots. And there's little restaurants and like, it's just very, very beautiful and community focused. It's like, yeah, San Juan del Sur, which is like where we're out of, obviously is one of the most touristy places in Nicaragua. There used to be ferries that would come, not ferries, sorry, cruise ships that would come and stop in Nicaragua. So that's why it developed so quickly. And I think they actually are coming back in 2026, which would be great for the economy. And this is a place of like, there's so many tourists here. There's so many expats. There's so many Canadians, so many people from the US. And it's a really cute little coastal town. And it's very, very much the vibe of like everyone knows everyone. Like all the Canadians would know all the Canadians. All the moms with the similar kids would know each other. Like it has that feel. And I know it has that feel because the gym that we've been going to here, I've already met people and I've like seen them in different places in Nicaragua. Like I went to Ometepe, which is the volcanic islands, for a couple days. And I saw one of the girls there. I was in the grocery store. I saw one of the girls. Like, so you just kind of get to know everyone, which is really fun and exciting and has that like deep community feel. And if we were to move here, it would be something that I would want to cultivate of like, everyone come over for dinner, everyone come over for a pool party, like whatever, right? Like, and really bring people together. I've always been like that. Like I've always thrown parties. I threw a lot of parties in high school. I threw a lot of parties in university. I loved to throw parties. And so I love a themed party actually, but now I don't drink. So it'll be like a little bit of like mushrooms for me, but I love a themed party. My Callahan loved throwing out. And so back to Nicaragua, it's a beautiful place and it's so affordable. Like renting a car here was great. I think it was like $1,500 or something for the month. And it's like a really nice car. Like it seats 7 people. It's a Fortuner. I don't know if you get those in other places in North America, but it's called a Fortuner. You can look it up. And I've been driving. It's been a lot of fun. There's the monkeys, there's the birds, there's stray dogs, there's stray cats. You get used to it. Insects, scorpions. We've had scorpions in our house, lots of crabs, fish. The food is very fresh, very fresh. Like everything is grown locally, right? So you go to a fruit stand on the side of the road, you buy your bananas, your mangoes, your avocados, your lettuce, and it's from Nicaragua. In Canada, you're going to the grocery store and you're picking up things that are from Mexico and California and Florida. Because it's not grown in Canada with the climate, it's not possible. But nutritionally, you have to think about that, is when they pick that orange off of the vine or off of the tree in Florida and take it to Canada, they're picking it before it ripens, and it ripens in the truck on the drive. So it's not getting as many nutrients because it's pulled off of the branch too soon. Plus, it's exposed to all sorts of chemicals on that drive. And it's typically in a plastic container. Oranges probably wouldn't be too bad with this, but like other things, you'd want to really think about this type of thing when the peel isn't as thick. So there's so much to be said about like buying oranges off of the street that were picked that week. Nutritionally, there's so much more in there. There's so much more vitamin C. There's so much more everything. So Nicaragua has that feel to it of like, I'm supporting the economy. I'm paying in cash for everything. I'm buying from the fruit stands. I'm learning Spanish. My Duolingo streak is like on 270 or something now. My husband Ryan's Duolingo streak is like 950, something crazy. We are both very, very adamant about learning Spanish. We're not going to be those like Canadian people who come to a culture and like expect people to speak English. Absolutely not. And if we were to live here, half the year, or whatever it might look like, we will probably actually also do like private lessons and just like rapidly learn in that way as well. And then with Callahan as well, we would love to have a part-time local nanny that can teach him Spanish, and he will probably know Spanish before we do fluently. Yeah, it's interesting. And I have no conclusions on this episode of where we're going to go and what it's all going to look like. It's too soon. But I just want this to really give you hope and inspire you that you can live somewhere in alignment that is maybe different than where you are right now. What we're thinking right now is we would do the summers in Muskoka and we would do the rest of the year in a place like Nicaragua. And then my husband and I would travel at different times of the year for work. Like I will probably sit down every year and pick 3 conferences to go, whether I'm an attendee or when I start doing public speaking. And those will be my 3 trips. And, he has work trips already that he has to go to. So he also has those. And then we would do something where, every other Christmas would be in Nicaragua if we choose Nicaragua. And then the other Christmas would be in Kelowna on the West Coast with his family. And then we would also probably travel for March break. So because we alternate Christmases. So if this year Christmas is with my family, everyone comes to Nicaragua. Then for March break, we go to Kelowna. Following year, we flip it, right? So we go to Kelowna for Christmas, and then my family can come to us for March break, or we go see my family for March somewhere else. I don't know, something like that. And also once Callahan is in pre-K and kindergarten, he does get more time off, but also he's so young, I don't really care about taking him out of school because I just think, life is too short to worry about that at such a young age. But that's kind of what we're thinking is November to April would potentially be in Nicaragua or whatever country we choose, and the rest of the time would be in Muskoka. Now, for all of this to happen, we actually would have to sell our house in Canada because we would have to give up tax residency in Canada and become a tax resident in Nicaragua. So when you do that, there's no personal income tax here and there's no corporate income tax. So we would be saving, like I was talking about earlier, 120 grand a year. But we would have to become Nicaragua tax residences. And you can't be a resident in 2 countries. You can be a citizen, but you can't be a resident. So we would have to give up Canada and we would have to sell our Canadian house. And so then the question becomes, where would we go in the summers in Muskoka? And so we would maybe rent a place May to September, or maybe we buy something smaller with Ryan's parents, or on a lake, buy an actual cottage. That would be ideal. And then we're there all together every summer, something like that. But we would never, as of right now, I'm not in a place where we would move to Nicaragua or any country permanently. We don't want to do that. We don't want to be here for 12 months a year. It's more of maybe 6 to 8 months. The school system here runs on the American school calendar. So it's from late August to June. But again, when Callahan is so young, that's not something we're really concerned about right now. The school that we're looking at, just for all the moms listening, is called Tambran International School, spelled TAMBRAN. I can link it in the show notes if you want it. I actually posted a video about this on socials and got some responses. It's incredible. So it is a private international school. They have a wellness room. Talk about health education. They have a wellness room where you can go when you're feeling mentally stimulated, overstimulated, you need to stretch or get some energy out or be in a calming environment. They literally have this beautiful wellness room. It's incredible. If you want to share your emotions, and they have all these different ways that kids can kind of share to the person there. I forget what his name is, what his title is, maybe wellness counselor, where you can share how you're feeling. And think about that. As a 6-year-old being I need a break. Can I go to the wellness room and sit on a yoga mat and play with some toys and just have some space? Oh my God. As if you would get that in the Canadian school system. As if mental health is even something that they talk about, let alone being overstimulated. Oh my God. So this school, the campus, I can't talk highly enough about this school. They just built this brand new campus that is Swedish inspired. The designer is from Sweden. You should see this. It is the nicest elementary school. They call it primary. What did they call it? Anyway, it's going to be pre-K. They're building the high school. They're adding on the high school. And it's stunning, beautiful mix of indoor and outdoor schooling. School uniform, which I love personally. It's just beautiful, guys. It's actually beautiful. And so they're thinking about making a 2-3 class, which would be preschool for this upcoming September. So we would potentially enroll in that. And just so you know, the price of this school, to send your kid for like their pre-K kindergarten, half days, Monday to Friday, right? Half days. I think it's 8:15 to 11:45 or 8:15 to 12, something like that. $3,000 US for the year. And this school is stunning. And just so you know, right now they have 45 children. Think about the teacher to student ratio. It's incredible. It's part of this resort in San Juan del Sur called Tree Casa. And Tree Casa has an investor who invested in creating this school. So that's why it's so nice. They have like that external investment, right? That funded the entire development of it versus like them only relying on tuition rates from parents. Such a different vibe, and we also looked at the San Juan Day School, which is where so many people send their kids here. More people are moving now to Tambran. I didn't like it as much. It's much older. The toys are much older. There's about 200 kids there. It's okay. It's better than what we have in Huntsville or like in Muskoka in Canada. Lots of outdoor play, lots of outdoor living, hands-on approach, that type of thing. But it just feels a little run down. And I haven't heard the best things under their new leadership that's happened in the last 3 years. So that's why we're more interested in the other one. And it's a 10-minute drive from that house that we like. But who knows I don't know what we're going to do. I guess that's all I can say about Nicaragua. I think that you should come here. Like if you're interested in actually spending half your year, spending your winters living somewhere south, that is very healthy, that is affordable and beautiful and like embedded in nature, Nicaragua is probably your best bet. And people are like, oh, is it safe? The political landscape is obviously and can be questionable. Like you do have to think about the dictator that runs the country. So that's why like with us investing, we would never put all of our eggs in one basket. Like we would never take all of our savings and buy a house here. We would buy a house, but we would still have savings accounts that are investing in like ETFs and stocks and whatever else we want, right? Because if the economy really tanks here or something happens, we don't want to lose everything that we have. But safety-wise, I would say on a daily basis, I feel safe. I always know where my money is, my phone is, my kid is. I always have everything with me. I'm very aware of what's going on. I've never made to feel like I'm being watched or stalked or something might happen, which has been great. And I felt like the same when I was here in April. Yeah. I know in Costa Rica, there's a lot of pickpocketing that's happening because 95% of the GDP of the country is based on tourism. So there's a lot of like tourist theft. Whereas in Nicaragua, you don't have that. They export a lot of other things like gold, produce. And so their economy is not as closely built and reliant on tourism as Costa Rica. I'm not sure what else I'm missing. There is Wi-Fi. We brought Starlink with us. I could talk about that on an episode if you're ever interested. And the power does go out sometimes. The Wi-Fi does go out sometimes. You kind of get used to it. But that's kind of it. So that is like my life update. I've been meaning to talk about this for so long, like get it all out, get all the information out. And we head to Costa Rica next week. So it's going to be so interesting to compare Costa Rica to Nicaragua and then Mexico, like back to back to back. I'm so interested to see how it all goes. We have my Costa Rica retreat coming up. I think there's 2 spots left if you want to join us. It's focused on women's health and longevity. Whew, the transformations are going to be epic in this. I just did the last welcome call of a woman who's coming, and it's going to be very profound. So if you want to go to Costa Rica, this is your sign. Let me know. You know who you are. If you feel that little voice in your head, it's time to meet me. And I really encourage you to do so soon because we're closing. Like it's coming up very quickly, right? There's not a lot of time left. So I would love to have you join me in Costa Rica. And you know who you are. If you're listening to this episode, you made it this far, come meet me in Costa Rica. I'll change your life. Not even I will change your life, like you will change your life because you've given yourself the space and time to work through what you need to work through and heal and transform and really heal your health from the inside out. I'm actually going to the resort that I'm hosting at in February, and I'm trying to get an exosome facial, my first one. Stay tuned. I will do so much content on it. I talk about longevity. So cool. Thank you for listening. Join my community, the LongHer Life Community. Only $97 a month, guys. So cheap. Would love to have you. And stay tuned for more content on travel, health, longevity, all the things. And I will catch you every Tuesday and every Thursday for an episode. Please subscribe, leave a review, and thank you for being here and being a part of this and a part of my journey. Bye. Thank you for listening to Biohacking with Brittany. I hope today's conversation gave you something to take into your own life, a practice, a perspective, or simply a reminder to trust your body. If you love this episode, please leave a review, share it with someone else who could benefit, and join me over on Instagram at biohackingbrittany for more. And if you're ready to go deeper, you can explore my retreats, community, favorite tools, all linked for you in the show notes. Until next time, remember, your body already knows.